Try this out. It's dreamy and dissonant. It's like the jagged edge of a fluffy cloud. It's all because of this note right here. Hey, it's Ian from Soundfly, and if I had to rank my favorite all-time chord tensions, a sharp 11 would be right at the top of the list. Now, you're only allowed to use a sharp 11 in these highly specific ways. You can only use it over specific major chords. You have to voice it high up in the register.
You can't have the sharp 11 right next to a natural 5 in your voice. You cannot use it in a non-stick pan.
You can only use it when Mercury is in retrograde.
You cannot use it on the backbeat in odd number measures in 17/8 if the trombonist is over 6 feet tall.
That. Too many people I've talked to are scared of this chord tension, but it's one that I absolutely love, especially over a major 7 chord. And I'm hoping that in this video, I can convince you to love it too, and maybe use it a little more frequently in your music. If you enjoyed this video, we hope you'll like and subscribe to our channel, and maybe become a member at soundfly.com, where you can get tons more courses and lessons like this. But back to those sharp 11s. Now, a sharp 11 is a very specific type of chord tension. A tension is a note outside the main notes of your chord that you can add to it to give it a little more interest. So if you have a C major and your chord tones are C, E, G, maybe a B or a B flat, then any other note you add to it, a D, an E flat, an A flat, an F sharp, well, all of those are chord tensions. And the sharp 11 is an unbelievable tension. It can give you chords like this, or beautiful melodies like this. It tends to get used more over major chords than minor chords. That might be because the 11 on its own against the major chord is super tense sounding. So that sharp 11 might make it a little bit more palatable. Some really famous songs you might know use sharp 11s. Duke Ellington's Take the A Train. The Galadriel theme from the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Nerd.
Or perhaps most famously of them all, the Simpsons theme song.
Go!
Now, to find the sharp 11, we start with the root and then stack thirds. And then we sharp the 11. So in the key of C, the 11 would be F, and then sharp 11 would be F sharp. In the key of E flat, the sharp 11 would be A. Now, the more perceptive of you might have already noticed, this sharp 11 is actually the same thing as a raised fourth. The two names do have slightly different implications though. If you say sharp 11, you kind of assume there's a whole chord below, probably with a 3 and a 7, maybe a 9, while a raised fourth doesn't have that same connotation. And we tend to name chords based on stacking thirds. So, sharp 11. Now, I want to talk today about a couple of the more prominent ways that people use sharp 11s in their music, with hopes that you might do the same. First, you can use it to make this absolutely sick sounding James Bond chord. That's a minor major 9 with a sharp 11. I have no idea when you would use it, but it sounds pretty cool. Second, and more commonly, you can use it for jazz. One way it's commonly used in jazz is an alteration of a dominant 7 chord. That's a little bit of an intense sound, but it's got a beautiful resolution to a major 7 or major 9 chord, or a minor 7 or minor 9 chord. Oh yeah. One great example of this in action is The Girl from Ipanema, that amazing song by Antonio Carlos Jobim. I particularly love this sound in like a ballad setting. It's got this beautiful, rich, almost bluesy path to resolution. Jazz musicians will also occasionally use it over a big major 7 chord, like at the start of Miles Davis's tune Blue and Green. Okay, on to the third way that people commonly use this tension. You can use a sharp 11 to create some awesome sounding melodies, no matter what type of music you play. So check it out. If you build chords based on the major scale, you get these chords. When you do that, only one of those chords naturally has a sharp 11 in it. So anytime you have a 4 chord in a song you're writing, it's a pretty common chord, you can use a sharp 11 in the melody without even leaving the scale. That's what happens in the famous song Moon River, for example. The song is in C major and the melody takes advantage of the B natural over the 4 chord to create a really lovely moment of dissonance. In a minor key, you get actually a similar thing, but with the flat 6 chord. It's a great chance to add some tension to your melody. Now, the fourth way you can use this tension is by discovering the joys of the Lydian mode. Now, the Lydian mode, or Lydian scale, is just a major scale, but with a raised fourth in it. But that raised fourth is so much more than it seems. It has this real plaintive, pulling sound to it.
Film and video game composers love the Lydian mode. You can think about the themes for E.T., Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Zelda, many, many more. Now, oftentimes when composers write in Lydian, they're not only using a big major 7 chord with a sharp 11 on top. That's kind of an intense sound. Instead, they'll write using lots of different chords that use the Lydian notes, but in different ways. Now, to tame the sharp 11's intense dissonance, a composer might use a D major or B minor chord over a C in the bass, like this. A great example is Yoda's theme. That's almost hopeful. Definitely not as intense as that. Now, I don't even know if you'd technically call this a sharp 11. It's more of a D major over C thing, but because it's still got the C in the bass and the sharp 11 over an octave above, it definitely still has that same feeling, that same sound. One of the things I love about the Lydian mode is I can kind of hang out here for a really long time. That sharp 11 makes it way more interesting than just the normal major scale. It's dreamy, it's textural, it's really, really cool sounding. So I could do something like this. The sharp 11 is kind of always pulling you up, but you can also hang out on it, and it's cool and interesting. I find that you can play with it for a long time without things feeling boring. For me, modal playing is often a little different in this way. You're not always thinking of harmony vertically in terms of chords. You're often thinking of it more horizontally in terms of just hanging out in a general vibe, a general mood. Another song that uses Lydian mode is Radiohead's All I Need off their album In Rainbows. I'm the next step, C seems to be the home base here because it starts and ends the song and also is emphasized throughout. But it's not a simple case of this song being in C major because that raised fourth shows up again and again. Overall, the tonality of the song is overwhelmingly Lydian. And even though most of the time the F sharp appears when there's an E in the bass, you could play it over the C and it's not going to sound out of place. Okay, so go ahead and try it. Play around with a sharp 11. Play it on a dominant chord. Or use a sharp 11 in the melody over a 4 chord or a flat 6 chord. Or try and write something in the Lydian mode that dips in and out of a sharp 11 as it goes. What other ways do you hear people using a sharp 11 in their music? Let us know in the comments.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, there's plenty more like it on soundfly.com. Become a member today and you can up your game in production, songwriting, performance, piano, music theory, so much more. We do workshops, we have courses, we have an active community, we give you feedback on your work. We would love to hear from you. We hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.